Alright everybody, Hellboy has arrived. It comes in this cardboard box with the logo, and this is just for the first core game, and it also comes with some extra dice, all of the extra stuff for the Mexico missions and the rest of the expansion stuff. It's supposed to arrive in September, so you still got plenty to go in this agent pledge. So we're going to get rid of this big box here. I will say that although it's cool to have the logos on these things, if someone was going to your porch or something else in your area, let's say you live in an apartment, you might get it stolen because someone says, oh, it's Hellboy the Board Game, I'm going to be jacking, rather than not knowing what it would have been. So for a security issue, as cool as it is to have these logos, I'd like to think maybe in the future they stop doing that. Plain, stupid, regular packaging. But if you buy the Kickstarter, you get this box. And it also says Hellboy the Board Game on it, but you have to open the box to get to it. So just for security's sake, I'd like the future of the board game industry to be shipping in plain, just regular containers. So cellophane, I like to keep it on the box, so I take a razor blade and I cut the bottoms. That means I got a dust jacket for at least a few months of going back and forth with these things. So that's just a tip. And when you look inside, you get all kinds of cool stuff. So the basic things that you would expect are the paperwork that tells you how to play the game, getting started, setup guide, that kind of thing. And it's a few pages long, but it tells you all the stuff you need. These things over here, they kind of look like coasters, but they're not. These are character cards for you to use the various characters. You get a comic book sized, which is kind of neat, rule book, and that just tells you different contents, you know, all the basics. So you can actually get a copy of this online. They put the full thing as a digital download from the backer kit, and if you go to the Mantic website, you can probably pick it up there also. And that'll tell you more about how the game plays and if you want to buy it. But you do get a lot of cool art in these things. I don't know if this is exactly Mike Mignola, but it might be. And it might be licensed directly from Dark Horse, which I would expect for this type of game to have all of the cool stuff. That looks like Mike Mignola right there. So I have somewhere, and I don't know where I put it, an ash can that was a very early Hellboy back in early 90s from a San Diego Comic-Con. Don't know where I put it, but otherwise I would have brought it out and showed it to you guys. That would have been cool. As is typical, you got promos for another game. So this one is Star Saga and Dungeon Saga. So whether you're going to the stars or you're going to the depths, you got something else you can look at from Mantic if you like their systems. We have a nice Mignola art print, full color. That's cool. I can get a little frame or something to put that up somewhere, or to keep it in the box, one or the other. It's printed on cardstock, so it'll hold up pretty well. Then you have the black and white one also, so it's got the M, Mignola for 2018. And this is another just pretty cool one. Got all the people in there, and big tentacle monsters and stuff. So those are nice to have, little tiny things that make your heart all the feels, which is cool. So then we're going to start breaking down how the box is set up. And you have different levels of cards. I think that you can use the FFG, yeah, it looks like the FFG yellows fit the small cards, and then the FFG grays should fit the rest of them. So whatever your brand is, you can look up Fantasy Flight sizes no matter where you're at, and then get the metric or standard sizes, and then you can pick whatever ones you like. If you like the Mayday ones that are a lot thinner, or you have another brand that you purchased that is otherwise sized, then that should help you out. There are some longer ones here, and from the look of it, I have these Mayday other ones for Tiny Epic Kingdoms. No, those are not going to fit. Alright, so quickly back. I did take a look at the tarot size. They are too big. I looked at Betrayal on House and Haunted Hill since I had so much extra. Too small. These ones from Mayday Games, they are for the dwarf fit, Dwarf King. They look like they will not fit either, just a little too small. So there may be a custom size later in the future. What I will suggest is these are case files, and you're not supposed to open them just yet. So if you can see that, stop! Don't open. But you're going to open them. You're going to open them eventually. What I would suggest is that you go to Amazon and get yourself a big pack of lots of different Ziploc bags. And the bigger sized ones, these ones are 3 by 5. That size will just barely fit these. So when you tear these open and they're a non-reusable package, you can put them into a reusable package. You might be able to find something slightly larger. 4 by 6 would also work on the inches if you're in Europe or anywhere else that uses the metric system. Canada, for instance, you can probably find these in another size. They're probably not going to get used up and beaten up the same way that your cards that you're going to shuffle and have on the table and doing all that other stuff with are going to get. So you can get yourself a big pack of Ziploc bags and keep everything nice, neat, and there's your investment. There's little tokens. They look exactly the same size as the ones I got on Lobotomy. I may be swapping these out depending on what they are. On Lobotomy, I swapped them all out for counters, magnetized to the bottoms of the bases. You may do the same thing. Magnets will work through these little plastic rings, and that'll help you keep track of who's doing what on the board. We have a bunch of little square counters in different colors. Black on one side, colored ones on the other side. There are a lot of different cards. It appears, let me get that sleeved bag again. It appears that if you want to use this as your organizer, it will fit a sleeved card. So don't worry about that, just go ahead and throw it in. There seems to be enough space. If these premium size sleeves are too big for you to fit everything in here, you can go with a Mayday version that's a little thinner, and it shouldn't add too much extra space. Let me just try it with my package. So it will fit at least one package of 50 sleeves in addition to the regular card stuff. So that is your top layer of the box. And I will tell you that the box has so much stuff in it that it doesn't actually fit flush with the lid. So consider that is when you come up with other options. You have some nice styrofoam, black of course, and that will keep you going. And you have tiles, and you have other cool stuff. These token things here, what do you do with those? Okay, I suggest you go out to any retailer and you got two options. This is your best option. This is a micrometer that does both standard and metric, and a ruler. Does standard and metric. This is your cheapest option. This is your most accurate option. And when you turn it on, it'll allow you to pop, when you pop these things out, to measure the size. What'll that tell you? Well, I like to keep track of all of my stuff in coin capsules. These things are always protected and nothing bad will ever happen to it. You can seal these in using Tamiya thin cement and they won't go cloudy. If you try to super glue these, they will go cloudy. And they make all the different sizes for all the different pieces. A couple of these are odd shapes. Like this is a hexagon, and then this one is a square. What I'll do with that one, probably because it's purple, is I'll hit it with the edges. I'll hit with the dry erase marker. The dry erase will not stick to the colors and painted stuff that's already printed on it. You can just wipe it off with your thumb. I have a video on that for Nemesis if you really wanted to watch me do it. And then I have a bunch of these Mod Podge and glue and other things that I use with chip brushes. And what I do with those is I seal up all the corners. When you seal up the corners, as you'll see in the video if you watch the one on upgrading Nemesis, I also seal it by adding tension. And I put that on all the corners, seals up nice and tight. You don't have to worry about humidity, you don't have to worry about people screwing up your stuff. If these slide around on the table, it might still wear little bits of it. I went and I bought some other types of Mod Podge that I'm going to try on the piece that does not have, you know, it's not going to pop out. There's the stuff you throw away, and see if maybe I can seal the whole thing with some type of sealer like that. And if they don't snap together like you would get with the ones that look like a puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle piece, then it's a good idea just to keep everything working out well. I used to tape them, but getting the seams right and everything else is like, you know, you could take a nice piece of transparent tape and do the sides up, and they'd hold together really well. Because I would also get things that would hold the corners together that would sometimes rub against the edges, but it would keep the gameplay nice. So those are some options for you. I'm going to clear my hands out here, try to put it away. Get yourself a nice little blade, and let's take a look, man. Let's do a real breakdown of what's going on in this thing. So we have a tile here, has some light on it. The edges break away, so you know it pops out. So it's not the same size. It looks like they just printed it for that reason. And I'll probably go through and do it all in dark blue. All of these pieces here, all of these things here, these all seem to punch out. Containers that used to house your experiments, maybe Abe Sapien used to live there. Dark hallways, other colors of dark hallways. Ladies and tableware and fist tokens, maybe a library and some other things. This looks like it also has either dead bodies or things that maybe it was a pool of goo. All those are possible. If you read the comic books that these are based on and you know what that scenario is all about, throw it in the comments and let's talk about it. Other colors and things that probably go towards the ring things that we looked at earlier that were hard plastic. Doors, most likely. More fellas. Other cool stuff. We have a nice broken angel and a tentacle. Where's my tentacle? There's my tentacle. Okay. Tentacles all over the place. Other cool stuff going on. Start thinking about the scenarios. You don't have to play just the ones that are in the book. You can think about them yourself. You can get your best Hellboy comic book. You can go out like I was doing when I was watching the Hellboy new movie, in addition to thinking that the old one was better, but watching the new one and saying, hey, it would be fun to play against Nimue or any of the other things that were in there. Because a lot of the comic books that the movie was using for reference material are also reference material for the game. So that part's cool. This is a tracker board. Looks like this will pop out. I might prevent this actually from popping out just because it might be a nice size to keep everything going. So maybe I'll just glue all this back together so it holds. Doesn't look like anything else on this one pops off. If it's sized that way, we'll find out after playing if we really need to be the other size, but I think I'd kind of like to just keep it that way because then it doesn't like fall off the edges when the card placements are going on. Then we have some broken walls, more walls, doors, and people. Whoa, see, they pop out pretty clean. One thing I'll tell you, speaking of popping out pretty clean, I'll do is take a sanding sponge. This one you can see has been used quite a bit, and I'll knock the little nibs off so that's nice and smooth before I go in with the dry erase markers and turn this all the way blue. I do not like the feel of the cardboard, and I do not like the look of the cardboard interrupting the flow of the game when I'm trying to play and it's just like, oh, it's cardboard again. It's like, no, I'm going to make it either all black or I'll make it blue, and it'll all work together. And it just flows for me a lot better. You can do whatever you want. I am just giving you options. I am not giving you commandments. Anyway, minis. Maybe that's why a lot of people are buying this game. You have many different layers when you buy this game. The coolest thing, while we got light, I'm going to break out, is the big guys. So, trusty hobby knife, cut the tape off. Now, the minis obviously are not going to change size or shape like the cards will if you add sleeves. So you like having a nice package that kind of keeps them all nice and together there for you. Let me see if I can zoom down there a little better. Okay, and this guy's like an ape that is all Frankensteined out. I haven't done a Frankenstein since I did a lobotomy at the paint job. I'd love to see if I can do a better one. This is a snakeadile of some kind that is wrapped around a stone statue, probably, holding a sword. Maybe this has something to do with the Excalibur stuff. It's kind of neat. Everybody loves a tentacle, so there's a big writhing mass of tentacles. That's cool. Getting in on the detail of every single one, you could probably follow the 4K things other people put up if you're in need of more than what 1080 will give you when looking at these. I'll try to do maybe a turntable on the minis, especially as you go through and paint them. Another Lovecraftian inspired tentacle monster. That's pretty cool. And then the Conquering Worm. Big caterpillar. This thing is hefty. Like, if I were to take a weight and compare it, I got a 2.5 pound weight over here. So this is like a kilo, and then there's this. So just this guy here, just this worm, feels like about a pound on its own, which is like 500 grams. So pretty substantial heft on your plastic there, Mantic, and I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate that. You know, it doesn't feel like anything's too wobbly. It doesn't feel like everything feels sharp and strong. It doesn't feel like anything's gonna break, which is great. How did this guy go back in there? Perfect. That's how he went back in there. And that is a whole side, basically, of the box, is just these big minis here. Now, I said before that you get extra dice as part of your pledge. Here are the other dice that you would get. There was some question on the website, and get the hobby knife out, about the tokens. Now, if you're going to buy a retail copy of this, you're going to get a lot of what's here, but you're not going to get everything. And I believe they've said that they would open it up quite a bit on April 19th, which is today or tomorrow, according to this recording. And you can get a copy through the retail channels. I don't think you're going to get these nice fire tokens made out of translucent orange. That's really cool. I don't think you're going to get these little rat buddies that You know, just trying to keep it in the light there for you. There's a ton of rats. If you don't have those and you happen to be a Simon fan, then, and a lot of people are, you could have bought the Swamp Troll, Rat King Swamp Troll deal. I've been slowly painting these guys, and you could get yourself some rats that way to use in the game. Or Massive Darkness exists. You can get yourself some ratlings, that type of thing. If you wanted to get upgraded components that you couldn't get out of the Kickstarter, those are some options. There's some manhole cover looking things you can't really see that have the BPRD logo. Those are also in here. Bag. What comes in the bag? Oh, so this is something that you really are going to wish you bought the Kickstarter for. Everybody says HeroQuest had the best furniture. Well, Mantic gives you furniture. They give you those chests. They give you Dead Soldier. They give you this is a rising set of tentacles on, oh, this is Hellboy's hand, his stone hand, being surrounded by tentacles. There is a book that's open and a vase, right? I don't know how I'm going to paint that one up. If I get really good, like really good, I have some options out of this book that show you different vases. If you're looking for something cool to put on there, there's that. This is a blown up pillar with a book or some other thing on it. These all appear to be mainly unique. There's lots of different books in there. They're just too small to take out. This is a resting skeleton from the look of it. And there is a whole bar or chemistry set, basically, that's sitting on there waiting for you. These are tokens in the retail copy. These are sculpts in the Kickstarter copy. So if you needed a different version for whatever you're looking for, and you wanted the cardboard one, you don't have it, your cheapest bet, because I had them up on high, 25 millimeters, about the size. You could get a coin capsule and print them off and draw them in. Now I'm sure that there will be coin capsule files eventually on Board Game Geek, because there pretty much are for everything. Now you may be wondering, where's my fish people? There's your fish people. They've got hooks and spears. They're basically the same 3 sculpts in this whole sheet here. They look a little like frog people. Some more menacing. Rawr, I'm a froggy. Rawr, I'm a froggy. Type of deal. And then this guy, he just wants a hug, man. Why can't you give him a hug? So there's your options there for the first tray. Throw that back together. I think these are Heroes and Kickstarter exclusives. If not, there's a lot more stuff down here. Let's get our trusty knife and cut away the tape. Takes just a second. This is a true unboxing. The only thing I did was look at the top layer when getting this set up, because we're totally professional, trying to be accurate about everything. So there we go. Set that back there. You can see in the light all the cool stuff. You got a lot of different Hellboys. You got full horned Hellboy. You have unhorned BPRD Hellboy. You have people with chains. You have big bad Froggy from Hell kind of guy. He's got his own sword. Lots of these succubi, maybe. There's probably a D&D version for snake women. Who knows? But one thing that is cool is if you didn't want to use those minis, you also have the busts, which have more facial detail. Because they're around the same size. And that's Hellboy. That's Abe Sapien, Fishman. Your Good Fishman. This is another guy from the movie that I forget the name of. All I can think of are names from Archer. And then I think it was one of the guy that's the Mist, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe he was the Clockwork Nazi, one or the other. And then this is the Firestarter lady. I can't remember her name. Selma Blair is the name of the actress. And her character, Liz. I think it's Liz. Got a lot more people. Everybody's got their full-size versions. If you were to run Rasputin over here, if you're a big fan, like I am, of Jonathan L. Howard's Johannes Cabal Necromancer series, then this would make a great Rufus Maleficarum. That is a property that hardly anyone knows about, so if you want to be one of the cool kids, Jonathan L. Howard's got I think 14 pieces, bunch of short stories, and I believe 5 full novels. Very Lovecraftian, very funny, and it will expand your vocabulary just because it's so smart and snarky, and so is the protagonist. We're going to move on. You can see the full color versions. There's even like a baby Hellboy. Lots of cool stuff. Me just showing them to you, you could probably actually just see them better just by me leaving it there and you looking across and seeing what each one is. But, you know, I want to see a couple of them. Professor Broom in the John Hurt style as opposed to the Ian McShane style. I don't have a preference either one, but I do think that the first Hellboy movie series was perfect, and that the second Hellboy with David Harbour had too much studio interference and not enough letting Neil Marshall do what Neil Marshall does, because Neil Marshall makes The Descent and lots of other cool stuff. He might have even done Doomsday, if I remember correctly, and that was a great movie that would have been a great you know, supermodel versus the cannibals type of story. Mila Jovovich would have been perfect for that, but Rona Mitra was in that one, and it was great. However, from what I hear on the new movie, the studio had quite a bit of interference. Okay, so what do we have on this side? We have more busts of all the Nazis. We have an evil turkey. So it's great that I have enough time to paint these so I can play this for Thanksgiving, and the turkey will get their revenge back. Most of these sculpts are little Clockwork Nazi type of guys that have guns and whatnot. We'll do close-ups if I need to. Otherwise, I'll link to someone who has a much better camera setup than I do, and so you can watch close-ups of each and every little thing. But otherwise, just in case you're watching my channel, you got something to watch for an unboxing. Then we have one more layer. Again, this is just repetitive sculpts, but it gets us to the bottom of the box, and then you've had all my little quips and anecdotes and things that you can open your box along with. And I hope you do get it, because always need more people to play with. That's why it's a game. Eagles or harpies? What are these? These are harpies. They have boobs. Eagles have chests as well, but they use them to fly, right? Harpies should have the chest the size of an eagle anatomically in order to get the height. It's a scary and spooky thing if you've seen the renders of what it would look like if people actually were able to fly, how big their anatomy would be able to be, it would basically just be a giant bird, because birds fly. Speaking of flyers, we got bats. Bats are always cool. We have, are these nuns? These are nuns. These are praying nuns. Whether that's with an A or an E, hard to tell. I hear a lot of stories, especially from Joey Coco Diaz, about how evil nuns can be. He's got great stories about how he got kicked out of Catholic school. We got werewolves. Werewolves are a fun one. They do not translate well on film, except for a couple of them, like Ginger Snaps and American Werewolf in London. So it's good to be able to have a game that has some good werewolves, to be able to play with that kind of stuff. Here's our eagles. Proud, death-dealing talons of rendered flesh take you away and drop you and eat a whole goat. Our Planet, the David Attenborough series on Netflix, has some stuff with predatory birds like eagles. It's awesome. It's unreal. Planet Earth 2 also. And then if you're going to have wolves and werewolves, you got to have the regular ones. These are the wolves. Are those the best wolves I've ever seen? Maybe. They're good. But if you need other types of wolves, Simon products, Wolfsburg from Zombicide Black Plague would fit also into that world. Depends on the aesthetic that you like. You don't have to have them all go together, because certain ones can look more menacing than others, and you may like them. If you want a giant honking were-abomination type of werewolf to fight back with, they also have those in the Abominations pack. So I don't know what I'm going to paint first. If you guys got suggestions, feel free to do it. It might be the gorilla with the Frankenstein look, just because, like I said, I'm kind of excited to jump onto another Frankenstein looking deal. I like playing with multiple types of metallics and giving different shines, especially when I can use coppers and golds and silvers and different things just to make all the different pieces pop. I do enjoy that quite a bit. I do have some other ideas for the harpies, different wings. I'll always try to make it as close to the original as possible. And by original, I mean if there's no artwork that's colorized, I'll go back to the original Greek depictions, Greek and Egyptian depictions of it. So that's cool. Maybe these will be vampire bats. Maybe there'll be some other type of coloration. Excuse me. Bats come in lots of browns, blacks, and grays. I have bats from Order of the Vampire Hunters as well as some other cool stuff. Maybe I'll just batch them all together. I didn't look, but yeah, they all have fairly flat bottoms. So one thing that I'll end up doing typically, and maybe you like this, maybe you don't, is I'll make, I don't know if you can see it, I'll make these little stencils. Alright, there we go. So these were for, this one was for Dead Eye Walkers. So I'll make a stencil, or I'll make a paper one that's laser cut and use a ring to hold the laser cut stenciled piece. And I'll paint the bottoms of these things. Sometimes I'll do a full 3D print I'll show you on this one here. Once I get the packaging off, I'll do full 3D prints of stuff on the bottom that weighs it down, makes it flat. These ones are a little sloppy with the paint right now because I'm still in the middle of painting them, and I'll redo the bottoms, but that's what happens when I go through and I hit it with the stencil with some white, and that just tells me where this one came from, just in case I do a bunch of batches. See another one, a little less carryover, and then I'll go back and I'll make it nice afterwards. Lots of options in the world. This is what it kind of looks like in the middle of painting them, and you know, they get pretty flush with the bases. Hope you enjoyed watching the unboxing video. Like I said, if there's anything that I talked about that you want me to go over in more detail, I can do that. If there's anything you want to watch paint or any suggestions, that type of thing, then feel free to drop those in the comments. Every comment, every thumbs up, every like, every subscribe helps out quite a bit. And hopefully eventually we'll be able to make enough to actually support the hobby side of things just with your eyeballs. That would be fantastic and wonderful. If you didn't get your pledge, contact Mantic and they'll replace some parts. I saw a bunch of things where people were saying things might have been damaged in the comment section, so just be aware of that. Also, as stated before, September is when the expansion content is supposed to deliver. That's for Hellboy in Mexico, Box of Doom, that kind of cool stuff. Or Big Box of Evil, I think is what it's called. That came with everything. If you have any other stories, thoughts on the new movie, anything you want to share, trying to build a little community. Like I said, every little bit helps. So if you give it that thumbs up and write a little bit or share this with your friends that you want to play the game with, try and get them excited. Try to be as exciting as possible on my own end and deliver some more content. I've got some other unboxing to do later on in the week, and next week I have the Batman City Chronicles and Brook City from Blacklist Games arriving next week. So if you like this unboxing, let me know and we'll do more. Have a good one.